someday, someday we shall meet.
Let's keep clapping our hands together.
And we shall overcome someday. I can hear you sing now, we shall. Over the hills and mountains, it gets lonely sometimes, but oh, we shall.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. All right. Welcome to the Operation Push Forum of the Rainbow Push Coalition. It is NBA All-Star Week in Chicago. Hey! And we got it started off right on Thursday night with Shaquille O'Neal and Isaiah Thomas, Reverend Dr. Joseph-Bryant, and Tom Thomas, the WNBA. Oh boy, we've had a great time. Dave Bing, Dougie Fresh. Did he not turn it out, everybody? The human beatbox had a wonderful time as we honored Kobe Bryant, the great scholar athlete, Cool Kids Code, supporting our Push Excel program. Everybody put your hands together. We had a full house. We're coming to you live on the Impact Television Network, the largest African-American owned religious television network in the country. We're so excited to be with them today. But we want you to tune in to Facebook. How many of you are on Facebook right now? Please go to the Reverend Jesse Jackson Senior page and to the Rainbow Push page, and let's keep the music going. Let's keep that energy going. You know we love it. You know Reverend Jackson loves music. All right, everybody, give it up for our music ministry, Maurice Mahan, Reverend Joseph, Reverend Brian Jones, fantastic group of musicians. We want you to go onto that Facebook page, and we want you to like and share. We love to have our students here. We're going to find out who you are in just a moment. Give our students a round of applause. They're visiting us today. So excited to have them. Now, we know that you understand this. Go onto the Rainbow Push page. If you have your phones, go onto the Rainbow Push page and like and share. Like and share. We want to create some watch parties. We want people to tune in to this freedom movement. All right? Are you with us? Put your hands together, everybody. Tomorrow morning on Reverend Jackson's nationally syndicated radio show, Keep Hope Alive with Reverend Jesse Jackson, we're looking at Election 2020. Everybody's getting ready to vote. Are you ready? We want you, Barbara Arnwine will tell us about calling 1-866-OUR-VOTE. You need to find out if you're still registered. We have purged 34 million voters between 2014 and 2018. 2014 to 2016, 16 million voters were purged. From 2016 to 2018, 18 million, and the numbers are accelerating. You need to check every week to see if you have been purged from the voter rolls so that you can get registered again. And of course, the foremost leading lawyer for our voting rights, Reverend, I have to give you a reverend because this is your ministry, and you are a doctor too. Attorney Barbara Arnwine, please give her some love today. Our Reverend Dr. Joseph-Bryant out of San Francisco and Oakland, head of our sports projects in Silicon Valley. Give it up for him today. Come on, everybody. But tomorrow on our nationally syndicated radio show, Reverend Jackson, when you go to the iHeart app, and go to Real Talk 910 or to Patriot AM 1150 so that you can tune in live. Go to keephopealiveradio.com because we are talking about the 2020 election that we want you to participate in. The 2020 election has begun. What is going on, and what are the implications specifically of the Bloomberg candidacy? Everyone's been talking about him this week. What's happening with Tom Steyer? Many of us do not know that he's number 2 with a bullet in South Carolina because he's been investing in black businesses. We're going to be talking about all of that tomorrow on Keep Hope Alive from 7 to 9 a.m. Give it up for Reverend Jesse Jackson and the Keep Hope Alive with Reverend Jesse Jackson radio show. Everybody, on Tuesday nights, we have our volunteer open house starting at 6 o'clock here at 930 East 50th Street. Aren't you glad to be back in the building at 930 East 50th Street? Our international headquarters. But every Tuesday night, we meet here so that we can get our volunteers. This is a volunteer-driven organization, and we need you here. The push is on. There's work for us to do. The push is on. The job is up to you. Please show up on Tuesday nights at 6 p.m. And, of course, on Monday nights, you know, we have a hot time with Let's Talk About It with Santita Jackson and Friends. Doors open at 6 o'clock, and at 6:45, we go on Facebook Live. Thousands upon thousands of you have been joining us, and we're so grateful. But come on over here so we can have a good old time on Monday night. Put your hands together, everybody. We want you to know that you can come to Rainbow Push and you can still find out about your taxes. The Cook County Treasurer, Maria Pappas, give her a round of applause, everybody. Treasurers often are looking to take money from you. She has been looking to give money back to us. She found more than $70 million in her till, and she went out into the community to find us, and she has a staff member here 2 days a week. And on the west side, 2 days a week. All you have to do is go in. It's not a trick. My mother and father found out that they had missed some senior exemptions. So you might be missing out on hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, right, Felicia? So we got to get them on your show on the U from 6 to 8 a.m. all throughout the week. We love Felicia Lawrence. Give her a round of applause, everybody. She needs your support. And of course, I'm on WCPT, the nation's largest progressive talk radio station. I do their morning drive from 6 to 8 a.m. in the morning. And because of your support, it is #1, and we're about to go into syndication, so I'm really excited about that. So we are going to have, I believe it is, a musical selection? No? Yes. Okay, all right. Please come forward. And indeed, this young lady is part of one of our iconic families, You know, you've got the Jacksons, not these Jacksons, I mean the Jackson 5. No, we're not related. You even have the Osmonds, right? We have a lot of great families who come out of music. We have Reverend Clay Evans. He has one of the most talented families, okay? But this family touches us so deeply, because not only did they give us great music, but her grandfather fought for us to have independence and to own our music. What a great icon. The granddaughter of Sam Cooke, Chanel Hampton. Give it up, everybody.
Hi, everybody. So, I wrote, no, hold on one second. Good morning. I know Reverend Jackson always loves to hear my grandfather, Sam Cooke, and I can sing one of those later. But I'm going to sing a song today that I wrote back in 2017. My grandfather wrote one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful civil rights song ever, A Change Is Gonna Come. And one thing that he said in songwriting, that if you want to be a successful artist, you must look at what's going on around you. And write, it is your duty and your responsibility to reflect the times and write what your people are going through. And that's the reason why he wrote A Change Is Gonna Come. So in 2017, I looked around me and I looked at shooting after shooting after shooting. I looked at what was going on in our community, and when I was tasked to write a song, I wrote something that reflected what was going on in our community, and I wrote this song called Give Me Peace, and this is what I'm gonna sing today. Just type with me. Give me peace, leave your chaos at the door. I want more, I want peace. Peace like a river, perfect peace like a river. Oh, let your spirit pour. I want more, give me. Mommies are missing sons, daughters never come home, left to fend on her own. Public safety is clearly wrong. It's like we're caught up in the world today. Time for us to make a change before we go out today. We need to kneel down and pray. Give me peace, peace like a river. Give me peace, give me peace like a river. Give me peace, leave your chaos at the I want more. I want peace, peace like a river, perfect peace. So my mind can be clear, give me peace. Let your spirit pour. I want more. Give me. Young ones march off to war, don't even know what for. Can't we just get along? Why can't we just get along? Fake bombs don't make a sound, but break all our spirits down. Questioning confusion, leaders selling illusions. It's like we're caught up in the world today. Time for us to make a change. But before we go out today, we need to kneel down and pray. Give me peace, yeah. Peace like a river. Give me peace. Give me peace like a river. Give me peace. Leave your chaos at the door. I want more. I want peace. Peace like a river. Peace like a river. I can't be clear. Let your spirit pour. Let it pour. Our kids feel like they're living in hell. We just keep on killing ourselves, and our mothers keep on crying for help. Economic deficient wages unbalance. The cells keep opening for more black bodies. Justice don't exist in the ghetto. They robbing us of everything we ever try to achieve. What do y'all lose if we ever succeed? Just give me peace. Peace like river, give me peace.
Oh, you can do better than that. Come on, everybody. Don't you want peace? Amen, amen, amen. You know what? We're so excited today to have, I told you I was going to find out who you were. Spring Arbor University, everybody. Give it up for them today. You can do better than that. Give them a Chicago push welcome. Come on. We're so glad that you traveled in to be with us today, and we hope that this will not be the last time that you come to Rainbow Push, because this is your home. I hope that you will consider it to be your home. Do you feel welcome today? All right there, everybody. Let's give them a good old Rainbow Push welcome, everybody. And of course, we want to thank Starbucks, their largest Starbucks in the country. Had a blockbuster of a book signing for, I think you've seen this book, yes? Keeping Hope Alive, everybody. We do hope that you will continue to get it. Those of you at Spring Arbor, ask for it at your college bookstore, your university bookstore, because it is the #1 selling religious book according to Amazon in the United States. And so we want you to go to Amazon and get it, and we also want you to request it with your sororities, your fraternities, with all of your clubs. There's so much to do. We've got to push our books. We have got to push our message. These are speeches that Reverend Jackson has given in the 2000s. Of course, you're going to have his 1988 speech at the Democratic National Convention, but he's done so much work for almost 60 years, And so you get a piece of that. And so at this point, we want to bring to you part of one of our programs, part of our Push for Excellence program. We work with our children. We teach our children to look people in the eye. We teach our children that there's nothing of which they should be afraid, that they should, even if they're afraid, find their courage, right? And so we want to encourage them by bringing them before the public so you can see just how magnificent they are. And we thank Judge Stanley Hill, who volunteers. Give him a round of applause. With our oratorical program, and we urge you to get your children involved in the oratorical program. They are never too young to learn to deliver before the public, amen? So we want you to put your hands together and give some love to this young lady who is homeschooled, Leilani Jenkins, everybody. Put your hands together.
Good morning, Rainbow Push. I am Leilani Jenkins, and today I will be reciting Black Lives Matter Matured Me by Ananda Chantel. When I realized why the people who look like me were chanting, Black Lives Matter, I knew I was no longer a child. The way my heart would drop after a new hashtag was attached to a new black body, or the silent tears I would shed watching the mothers of Mike Brown, Tamir Rice, and Trayvon Martin speak at a rally. I knew I had transitioned from childhood when I realized the weight one flag carried. The broad X on top of a solid red stain that loudly screamed hatred without using words. When I discovered the people who proudly fly those flags are still stuck in the mindset that slavery was okay and black people are not equal. It was clear to see I was no longer a child when Donald Trump became president. When the people I had known my entire childhood openly accepted a man who ran his campaign on hate. People who would put their hands over their hearts and sing the lyrics, "Land of the free," but agreed with the president that immigrants are not welcomed here. When the world revealed its true ugly self, and friends I had once trusted took off their masks. I knew I had transitioned from childhood when I realized that being black put a target on this back, that being black was to be treated as a wild animal, that the oppressor wanted to keep caged or put down to keep silent. Now it is my honor to introduce a man who refuses to keep silent, Reverend Jesse L. Jackson Sr.
Come on, let's rise up and sing the anthem. With our fists in the air like this. Cause I am somebody. Oh, I am somebody. Oh, I am somebody. At the end of this day, you can try to walk away, but I am somebody. I am somebody. Oh, I am somebody. At the end of this day, they can try to walk away, but I am somebody.
I am somebody. I am somebody. I am somebody. Respect me, protect me, never neglect me. I am somebody. My mind is a pearl. I can learn anything in the world. If my mind can conceive it and my heart can believe it, I know I can achieve it. Stop the violence. Save the children. Stop the violence. Save the children. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Let me hear you scream.
Look at your neighbor. Say, I am somebody. Oh, I am somebody. At the end of this day, they can try to walk away, but I am somebody.
Maurice Mahan, let's give Brother Mahan a big hand, shall we? These are challenging times in which we live, but we're equal to the task. Share with you a little information before we bring on our sports panel for today. There are 8.5 million blacks unregistered. There's no place in the grandstand for you to be in a time like this. Everything we fought for is at stake. Access to food, food stamps, Pell Grants, scholarships for children, student loan debt greater than credit card debt, Parent Plus loans. We've been picked on, and yet we have the power to fight back. Yes. Some years ago, when we were in a fix, we had to hope and pray for change. Then we can hope, pray, and vote for change. Yes. If we have the faith, God has the power to see us through. Maybe the lowest moment for the Hebrews in Egypt's land was that they had to make brick without straw. We had to make democracy without the vote. Never have the vote. No one has the right to do less, and no one has the right to do less than their best. We do our best, great things come our way. Secondly, you were watching across the country. If you're 18 years old now, be 18 by November, you have the right to vote in this primary. There are more 18-year-olds than there are 81-year-olds. You have power. Why should you vote? Well, you vote for the right to serve on a jury. You vote for the right to be a juror. You have the right to fight for Pell Grants. The right to fight for scholarships. You have the right to vote for judges. 18-year-olds must use that right. I want trust was everywhere around the country. Don't get caught having the high school seniors in your class. You've not registered. There's no George Wallace to stop us. There's no Bull Collins. Said no one. Stand between us and the end zone except grass. Let's run for it. You who are listening today, I want you to be a part of our membership drive. We have members across the nation. You who are watching us today, you may call us right now at 773-256-2775 and join the Rainbow Code. There's a train coming. But you got to register the ride. We intend to put on 1 million new votes by April the 4th. Dr. King's birth was January 15th. Assassination Day, April 4th. We're going to use that window for social justice, the kind of Dr. King, Cesar Chavez's window. And the woman who is the most able in the country today on voter transformation, she is my teacher, my friend, Dr. Bob Brown Wine. Bob Brown Wine, please stand again. To my home people down in South Carolina, all of them, they say that the candidates are coming for the blacks. We know what they want. They want us. What do we want? It's a very fundamental. What do we want? What do we want? I remember one time we were picketing in downtown in Greensboro, North Carolina, and we were one day going to a restaurant. We thought they let us in. We ordered our food and didn't have the money to pay for it. He said, what do you want? We said, we want freedom now. We must have an agenda stronger than freedom. So we said, we must have an agenda. I want to acquaint you with a report came out in 1960 called the Kerner Report. The Kerner Report. Their report did the most fundamental analysis of black and brown and white people. Say the white people created the ghetto. So white America created slavery, created the ghetto, created Jim Crow, and sustained discrimination. We the people use our weapons, our coalitions, red, yellow, brown, black and white, make things happen for the people, black or white, when it's dark, real dark. We look amazingly similar in the dark. Turn the lights on. I'm prepared to bring on Jonathan today for brief remarks. We'll bring on our panel today and Brother Joe Bryant. Athletes have played a critical role in our lives. We have a way of assuming that we're the best by birthright. We're the best because we work hard at it. So whenever the playing field is even, whenever the playing field is even, rules are public, goals are clear, referees are fair, scores transparent, we can make it. I looked last night at the rookies playing. Many of them do not know really why they're able to play as rookies. A young man some years ago fought for the right to be able to play while you're in college. Spencer Haywood was able to play ball at 19, 20 years of age, Kobe Bryant's age. He couldn't play because his class hadn't graduated. When Wilt Chamberlain came out of college, he couldn't join the NBA. His class had not graduated. He had to play for the Harlem Globetrotters. Spencer Haywood paid the price. All athletes, black and white, that can play now because of Spencer Haywood. There was a time if you joined the team, you had to stay with that team the rest of your life. You own on that plantation. And they could own you, they could sell you, they could buy you, they could trade you. Kurt Flood said, no, I'm not a slave. 13 minutes said, you cannot sell me. Kurt Flood sacrificed his career. He won the lawsuit of free agency. Said today athletes can make lots of money and bargain with the market because of the sacrifice of Kurt Flood. So when we look at athletes down through the years, with David and Goliath, or Samson and Philistines, when Jack Johnson beat Toomey, Jeffries, blacks were thought to be inferior in the academic circles. He beat him, and the race riots occurred in the height of the lynching season. Julius beat Max Mellon. They were arguing that Aryan whites were superior. Julius beat Max Mellon in a minute and 37 seconds in the first round. The Brown Bummer challenge. Jack Robinson broke into baseball. He opened up the door for white baseball to join the baseball world. Don't stop there. So Jack Robinson, Kurt Flood, Spencer Haywood. Every generation has this set of heroes to look at. You know, they talk about is it LeBron or Michael? Let me tell you, before that was a LeBron or Michael, there was a guy named Connie Hawkins. See, Connie Hawkins. Then Dr. J. Then Magic Johnson. Then Michael Jordan. Then Kobe Bryant. And now LeBron. These athletes paved the way, make us feel better about ourselves. Give them a big hand. To bring you on Johnny now, to bring in brief remarks, to bring on our panel. We have so much ground we're trying to cover today in a short period of time. The NBA is in town this weekend in Chicago. But these young men develop their skills. See, we're good at what we work at. They practice 6 to 8 hours a day. Without radio, television, telephone. The result is best in the world, what they do. I'm so proud of them. I cannot help but think about my friend and brother Sam Cooke. Shout that son again. Sam Cooke's granddaughter. Jonathan, our national spokesman who travels around the country, around the world, arguing our case, and have Jonathan bring remarks today. And then I want us to bring on our panel, led by Reverend Joe Bryant. Come on, Jonathan.
I'd like to thank our athlete scholars that are going to be participating in a panel discussion today. These men and women are not only outstanding athletically, but also academically. When you see Brother Etan Davis, please, brother, stand up. Etan, stand up one moment. You see a giant of a man, but also equally a big mind and a big heart. He is an author, also has written a book on Athletes Matter, talking about athletes and activism. Too many athletes want to deny their responsibility to be activists. And we thank you, Brother Etan, for standing up. I want to thank Miss Nakia Sanford, a WNBA veteran and a businesswoman. She's channeled that same positive energy of athleticism and has taken it into the corporate and the business world. And Anton Davis. Anton, I want you to stand up one moment, please. Wonderful man from the Oakland area. I've got a partial feeling about the Bay Area, just great people, generation after generation. Now, when you have twin children and both of them play basketball, and his daughter goes on to be a part of a national championship team in college in South Carolina, that's the father with the mother, and then the son goes on to play professional basketball in Europe. You've done a mighty job, and studied computers while he was in college. Give him a loving round of applause. Why is that so important? When the Rainbow Push initiated its Silicon Valley project, we have the talent, just did not have the opportunity. Anton, the reason I'm bringing up Anthony specifically, born and raised in the Bay Area. He saw the transformation of artificial intelligence. He saw technology. He saw the new wave of the wealth that was going to be created. He studied computer and information systems in the Bay Area at the time he was growing up. How did all of these major corporations miss this talented man and not put him on their boards? Why is it important that we have a Rainbow Push Coalition? Why is it important that you come out? Our children are going to be graduating in May. These young men and young women that are playing college athletes are going to make their universities millions, if not billions, in sponsorship for coaches' salary, for tickets and jerseys, sales, and they won't have the same opportunity to coach on the team that they just won. They won't have the same opportunity to sell the jerseys and the t-shirts and to do the medical practices on the teams they just played for. They won't have the same opportunity to be sponsored to go to college for the same teams that they made money for to go to their medical school, their grad school, for law school, for business school. We have to unite. Our children are being shortchanged and robbed. It's up to us to make a difference. And I want to thank these athletes for coming back, for giving back as they have always done continuously. Indeed, when our talent and our children rise up in prominence, it is made a point that they're told to stay away from people that make a difference. I want to thank these athletes for coming back, that have always given, that have never stopped giving, and that do make a difference. Can you believe, in closing, that it is African American History Month? Have you heard the term? It seems to be going through a period of erasure. We're not even talking about the things that my father, the Reverend Jesse Jackson, just mentioned. We have been here before. My friend is not here today right now, Brother Isaiah Thomas. Brother Isaiah Thomas came through these very doors to get food with his family. This happens 365, 52 weeks out of the year here in Chicago. Don't you remember when Isaiah Thomas tried to buy the Toronto Raptors? Don't you remember when he had the opportunity about 15 years ago to buy a stadium in Toronto and a major and a national basketball franchise? And he showed up with $120 million. And what did the owner say? The owner told him, "You're black. It's got to be worth something more to you. Give me $20 million more." And that is the reason why in Black History Month, Isaiah Thomas does not own the Toronto Raptors. Now we're going to move on with our program. I'm going to ask Reverend Bryant to come forward. Reverend Bryant, he's going to be our coordinator of the panel. Reverend Bryant serves as our director of the Silicon Valley Project. Why don't you come forward, Reverend James Bryant? Thank you, ma'am.
Good morning, Rainbow Push. It's good to see everybody this morning. We are going to transition to our sports panel. We are very excited. We have a video we want to show really quick for our audience, both live as well as those of you who are watching. And then we're going to switch our stage a little bit and have these wonderful athletes talk about athletes and athleticism. Give them a big hand as we prepare the stage. Come on, show them some love.
Register for the Rainbow Push Coalition and Citizenship Education Fund Wall Street Project Economic Summit at the Sheraton, New York, Times Square Hotel. Join Reverend Jesse Jackson and others for one-on-one conversations and panel discussion on a racial wealth gap. To register for Wall Street Project Economic Summit, go to rainbowpushwallstreetproject.org. Push Excel is set to raise the standards of excellence in America to encourage today's youth to strive for excellence in their academic endeavors.
Push Excel Pro Basketball Classic.
Led by Reverend Jesse Jackson, Push Excel program sponsored an all-star game between NBA veterans and NBA rookies. More than 20,000 fans attended the Push Excel's Pro Basketball Classic by basketball greats Michael Jordan, Isaiah Thomas, Magic Johnson, Mark Aguirre, and Dominique Wilkins, with the goal of pushing disadvantaged youth towards academic excellence. Reverend Jackson shares that high-profile athletes are impact educators who help set the moral and social climate for society generally, for our young people in particular.
It's been called the most important job skill of the future, coding. And Rainbow Push, General Motors, and the Wayne County Community College District are at the forefront of preparing students for this lucrative career.
In Detroit, in terms of major cities, we rank last in technology in terms of our youth. So this program was set up to narrow that gap.
So the good thing about coding is that it's a skill that's transferable. So whether your favorite subject is biology, whether you like graphic design, whether you enjoy math and computers, there's a way in which you can implement code in that.
And I'm excited to see what y'all do. But whatever you do build, I'm sure that it's not just going to change the community, not just going to change the city, that you can change the entire world.
At this young age, for them to learn what they just learned in 2 to 3 weeks, it's amazing. And we touched about maybe 400 or 500 lives.
Rainbow Push Coalition partnered with Microsoft to transform technical education and bridge the access divide in STEM.
There you go. All right, smile big.
The two organizations partnered in an all-day tech experience coding event at the Rainbow Push Citizenship Education Fund Annual International Convention in Chicago. Reverend Jesse Jackson, founder of Rainbow Push Coalition, stated, "We are excited to be working with Microsoft to expose students to coding, robotic, website development, and other technical areas to bridge the technology gap in underserved areas. This effort is a matter of expanding opportunities for the next generation of leaders."
We are Fresh Start.
The name of our nonprofit is called Fast Forward. My name is Amani. My name is Caesar. And I'm Zohan.
The Push Excel STEM curriculum is provided in partnership with local technology partners who engage students in a number of technical areas, including introduction to HTML, creating web pages, app design, coding, and creating video games.
I have learned to code, build, and design robots. Both learned how to work better in a team.
There's not a talent deficit, there's an opportunity deficit. If we close the opportunity gap, big things will come out. We'll always be proud of it and what America stands for on its best days.
Let's be a good sport. Students enroll in team building, fitness, and nutrition classes to learn the business of sports. Students look forward to tournaments to showcase skills and to compete at the highest levels with top coaches from around the city. Sports figures join students to discuss how to balance sports with education and instruct students about the life after sports. Push Tech 2020. Rainbow Push Coalition continues to open doors in corporate America to seize this moment of opportunity and access. Diversity plus inclusion equals innovation. We're connecting talent with access to capital and opportunity. Stop the violence. Save the children. We're pushing for excellence. Let's be on the same team to provide a better future for the youth of today.
Come on, let's make some noise in here, Rainbow Push. We're excited about our upcoming Wall Street event next month. We are excited about the work of Rainbow Push, all the wonderful things that the organization does around the country and around the world. We thank God for Reverend Jackson and his vision on all things important, all things valuable. Even here on All-Star Weekend, he's making an impact. So we love you, Reverend. Thank you so much. We heard from our national spokesperson, Jonathan Jackson. We bless God for you. And this amazing panel here today, these are some athletes that do much more than play on a court. They have an impact around the world in their communities and in the work that they do. I'm going to ask each of you to just give us a quick introduction as to who you are, just so we can educate the crowd, and maybe a few folks that are a little older than you and maybe not saw you play in your playing days. So give us a little quick background on your playing days as well as what you're doing now. Jonathan, we'll start with you, just giving us as well as your background too.
I'll start. Jonathan Jackson, a wannabe athlete my entire life. This is one of the highest honors I could have, is to be on the stage with these great athletes. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
I'm always thinking ladies first, so you go ahead.
That's so sweet. Okay. My name is Nakia Sanford. I am an 11-year veteran of the WNBA. I played 14 years total professionally around. Oh, thank you. Native of Atlanta, Georgia. Yes.
Antonio Davis, 16 years of professional basketball with the Pacers, the Raptors, the Bulls. Born and raised in Oakland, California, and I'm really excited and thankful to be here today.
My name is Atan Thomas. Played 11 years in the NBA. Right now, I'm a writer and a motivational speaker, and I'm speaking in colleges across the country. We had a great event yesterday at Collins High School. Shout out to Collins High School, absolutely fantastic.
Of course, we are excited about Etan and his book. We've brought this book with us. We want to make sure that all of our student athletes in the room get this book, We Matter, Athletes and Activism. Give Etan a hand just for being able to put his thoughts to paper in a magnificent way. And I want to start with you, Etan, because of that. This panel really is a part of the ongoing work we're doing with you, supporting the Etan Thomas Foundation and your work around the country, going to schools, colleges. You've been at Harvard. You've been at USC. You've done all these wonderful appearances about the fact that we matter. Talk a little bit about your motivation behind writing this book and what it means to say athletes and activism.
Well, one of the things that I wanted to do with the book was to capture a lot of the activism that was kind of exploding onto the scene recently. And then, of course, I had to go back and interview the different people that I grew up admiring and grew up reading about. So Bill Russell and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Craig Hodges, who was at the panel that we did yesterday morning at Collins High School. And, you know, John Carlos. So all those athletes that I grew up admiring, the way that they use their position in the platform to be able to speak on social issues and make an impact into the country. So then I wanted to capture some of the activism that was going on currently. So I interviewed like D. Wade and Carmelo Anthony and Eric Reed, who was kneeling the entire time with Colin Kaepernick, and you know, Swin Cash and Tamika Catchings, and you know, everything, the incredible thing that they did with the WNBA when they all banded together in protest, which is absolutely amazing. And you know, I used that to really you know, inspire younger athletes and younger generation especially to continue using their voices and their platforms. So not just athletes, but just the entire younger generation. Right now, I think we're at a great time where young people are using their voices, and a lot of times that's because they have social media. And they're using it in a way that's so effective, and it's really beautiful to see. So I really wanted to just capture that and continue to inspire young people, not necessarily just who all agree with me. You know, in my positions, I have specific positions that I am very vocal about, but it's not just including people who you know, encouraging people who agree with me, just the fact that they have the right to be able to voice their opinion, their voice, and that their voice actually matters.
Nakia, you're A-manning Eton as he goes along there. Some of the things that he mentioned, even about the WNBA and the voice of the woman athlete, which oftentimes gets forgotten even beyond just the African-American or the minority athlete. Talk a little bit about, what this means to you to have a platform and to use it to impact what you're doing and what your sisters are doing as well.
Yeah, I was very proud of the way we handled that whole situation as far as we, banded together, and watching that was awesome. This is my 5th year retired, so being able to see my sisters make a big impact was very important. This weekend has been pretty amazing. The Collins High School event yesterday really educated me on a lot of things. I learned a lot, so it's been a great transition with our new CBA. I don't know if you guys are aware, but the WNBA just signed a new CBA that gave maternity leave, which was huge. Yeah, it's big. Because we face specific challenges as women, being athletes that I had a basketball sister who actually hid her pregnancy so that she could finish out the season. Like, we shouldn't have to put ourselves at risk in those kind of situations. So the bar is being pushed forward, and I'm very excited about it.
That's great. I mean, it's just amazing that you are so conscientious, and that's something that I appreciate all of you athletes about. And Antonio, we've had a chance to work. We both from the Bay Area got to represent, right? And the work we've been doing recently with computer labs and different things. Talk a little bit about what it means to go back to your hometown and to have the kind of impact you're having with Hip Hop TV, with other community organizations that are doing some major work with you and other athletes.
Well, for me, I knew that there were certain people and certain situations that allowed me to be what I am today. I know Park and Recreation, for a lot of us, was kind of where we were started. We were introduced to so many different sports. We were mentored by so many men and women. We were protected from the elements because of the building. And today, when I go back to Oakland and I don't see that, it kind of breaks my heart, because the young people are being pulled in so many directions with social media, with all kind of things we know that are in the streets. So I wanted to make sure that we kind of balanced the playing field a little bit with things that they're attracted to. Whether it was technology or basketball or whatever it may be, we have to give them other options. There's too many negative options out there. There's not enough people going back and mentoring and showing them that they can dream and there is hope. You just got to keep pushing forward. But it's my responsibility, as it was for people before me, to continue to make sure that there's a path, make sure there's a safe place, make sure that there's people, make sure that there's opportunity. So that's why we did our basketball camp, and we had all those other elements in, because we got to pull them in. We got to give them something, a reason to come into the building, and while we have their attention, we got to tell them that it's okay to dream, it's okay to fail, it's okay to do a lot of things, but we have to pick ourselves back up. We have to go out there and we have to keep pushing through.
Excellent, excellent. That's right, that's right. This weekend, we're all here in Chicago for the All-Star Game and for the All-Star activities, and you all have been a part of so many wonderful things. And this weekend, we cannot bypass the weekend without reflecting, as Reverend did earlier, on Kobe Bryant, who was much more than an athlete himself. Talk a little bit, starting with Nakia, because you mentioned this a little bit earlier in the week, about his impact off the court on the sports world, in particular, his impact on the WNBA as a dad, as well as an icon who just believed in the women's sports.
Yeah, I feel like Kobe was one of the first NBA athletes to make it cool to go to the W games. You know, he would always be in there, and he would be in there specifically with his daughter, and that loss of him and Gigi, and of course the others that lost their lives as well. That in particular hurt us. And I've talked about it with a lot of my basketball sisters, because we were so excited about seeing her transition. I mean, she was a baller. So we were super excited to see that transition and what that would do for the women's game, because there are men who have sons that play, and, you know, just to see a legacy. We have opportunity for legacy now in the league. And so it was very impactful. And he was such a humanitarian, such a good guy. And I've never gotten so impacted by a celebrity passing, and that hit so different.
Sure.
So we definitely feel that, and what he did, I'm sure, will continue.
Right.
I'm sure.
Right. Eton?
Well, you know, we're just fresh out on the way up here. I was actually giving a pep talk to my daughter, who's going to play her volleyball tournament this weekend. Shout out to Metro East, got to shout them out.
Shout them out.
So I was telling her that when she steps on the court to have the Mamba mentality. And when you step on the court, that means that when you step on and you don't think that anybody else on there can beat you. And no matter what they do, no matter how much you fail, no matter how much you fall, you always get up and you know that you are going to be victorious. So yesterday when we was talking at Collins High School and I was talking to this young man afterwards, and I asked him what Mamba mentality meant to him. And I explained that to him, and then I related it also to life. And I said in society, there are going to be people who are dedicated to you failing. And you have to be dedicated to say, I'm not going to fail regardless, no matter what comes against me. And that's the Mamba mentality, that you're going to be successful. And I'm going to keep using that. I coach my son's AU team, so they're going to hear this a million times. But I just think it's a great mentality for young people to really capture, both in sports and in life. And that's just the way that you could use sports to really benefit you and help you out through your everyday life.
Right. Antonio?
Man, Kobe Bryant. I just admired how he took hold of life after the game was over. So many times we give our lives to the sport. We dig in, and every single day we're practicing to get better. We're practicing to perform. And then when it's over, the only thing we want to do is step off that stage and be as normal as possible. We want that life where we can go back and coach our kids. We want that life where we can go back and support the people that helped us. And to watch him do it so gracefully and do it in a way to make guys proud to be fathers of daughters. I can remember going to so many tournaments and having these questions come up. Man, I wonder how many miles I've driven to take my daughter or my son to a basketball game or a sporting event. I lived here in Chicago, and we drove everywhere. I ended up having to buy a van because we had so many kids. We pile in and stay at our house and things of that nature. So I can only imagine what he was getting ready to embark on. And I believe, just like you said, he was going to impact everybody, get guys to start buying WNBA teams or whatever the case may be. So we lost something there. And as Rev keeps saying, we have to replace it. We have to find others to get involved. I'm there. My daughter plays for the Dallas Wings. So I go to a lot of games, and I make sure, thank you. You make sure that you're there and you're present, and you make sure that you're supporting. But in this time, and the last thing I'll say is, I can't imagine being in that position and wanting to just be normal. Like, I just want to be a husband. I just want to be a father. That's all I want to be. And then it's gone. So it taught me to really get up every day and be very grateful and be very thankful, and to call my kids and just say, man, I love you, or text them and just say, because we can't think that we're going to continue to have that opportunity. We don't know when that opportunity is going to be gone. So I encourage each one of you, if there's somebody that you love, if there's somebody that you care about, don't take it for granted that you're going to have another moment. So you tell them that you love them, you tell them that you care about them, and make it mean something. Don't just say it just to be saying it, because you really don't know. You really don't.
Yep, Jonathan, as fathers, and I know I've been able to go to sporting events with you and your children. Some of what we talked about here today really impacts us, whether we are athletes like them or wannabes like us. But we understand what it means to be present, and then to have the platform to speak life into the lives of younger people. You're with students all the time. You're a professor. You're around young people. Talk about the impact that athletes do have on the lives of young people, because you see it firsthand and you understand it much better than most.
Well, one part of being an athlete, it's a gift that you can't determine your height, you can't determine your speed, your acuity, your sense, your timing. That not only do these persons, and I must say, they're more talented than me, when you're able to have 10 seconds to see the whole court, to make your decisions, pass, shoot, fake, whatever, in any sport, be it tennis, soccer, or basketball, these are extraordinary human beings. And so the world idolize them and they move towards them. I want to first give a very special heartfelt appreciation to the mother and father of Kobe Bryant. That Kobe was not hatched, Kobe was born, and to be 17 years of age and to be able to get on one of the most competitive fields in the entire world and to continue to grow in grace and strength and speak 5 languages, play chess, play piano. His parents poured an extraordinary amount of their love and effort into that vessel and into that child. I also would like to say, and I mentioned your name specifically, Brother Davis, I'm sorry I don't know all the background on your other stories, but in many ways, you are a trendsetter for Kobe Bryant. Your daughter went on to play for a national championship basketball team. Your daughter is in the WNBA. You are a trendsetter, and so I don't look beyond that on the achievements that you've made on and off the court. I'd also like to say that, like we're talking about now, the legacy of these parents and their children knowing the path and the route to get into the NBA, the WNBA, and do great things athletically. There's another path. The owners of the Bull, his son is now the president en route to own the Chicago Bulls, in the Dallas Mavericks, in the New York Yankees and the Giants and the Knicks and so forth. We're not on that trajectory yet. We have many more obstacles to go through. Why don't these people that own the teams, why, number one, don't they have the right to invest in the team that they play for? That's called equity stock ownership. Why do they write the rules to say they can't own where they work? You can do it at Goldman Sachs, Lehman Brothers, Morgan Stanley, any other bank. But it's a rule that says you can. Number two, these are privately held organizations that get public funding. And number three, that we always have to be conscious of, as soon as our talent is cultivated and developed, these persons that speak out, speak up, and set the example, they try to knock them out of our children's eyesight. They don't want the persons on this stage to be on the university platforms. They don't want to see them on the ESPNs. They don't want to see them speaking truth to our children. So we have to give extra prayers, extra love to all of those that are willing not to go with the grain, but to cut the grain and make a difference.
Well said, Jonathan, well said. In this last quick question for our athlete activists, just share, because we have students in the room, we have students that will be watching this, that are all watching this now live, just give a message, a 30-second message to young athletes, student athletes, because really that's the term we've used so much, and I think it's apropos. Speak to that student athlete and give them a message of motivation, inspiration, insight as to how they can move forward from today, hearing your voice, what they can do to make themselves greater.
Okay, well, the message that I give a lot of young people is allyship and how important allyship is. A lot of times people move, you know, by themselves. You know, it's funny, I was just watching Selma with my daughter, baby Sierra, and in the movie, you understand, remember the part where they was just about to cross around Edmund Pettus Bridge, and it was this big dramatic scene, and the police came, and you know, it was all, she was like, oh my gosh, she was like, are there any good white people in this movie? And I was like, what just keep watching. My daughter, she talked through the whole movie, and so I'm like, well, just keep watching. She's like, yeah, but all of this because they wanted to vote? I was like, yeah, just keep watching. So then it came to the part where they reached out to the clergy from all over the country, right? And so all of the white clergy and all the different allies came, and they all stood together, and the police reacted completely differently. And I say that to say that, draw the point that allyship is so important. There's so many things that we need male athletes to be able to advocate for the different things that you're going on in the WNBA. I didn't even know that what she just said about maternity leave. That's something that should have been written in a long time ago. Right. And then we have to be able, as men, to be able to stand up and say, wait a minute, that's not right. This is even on the table, you know what I mean, of an issue that they have. So the importance of allyship is so important. One organization helps another organization. It might not be the issue that you're necessarily dealing with, right, you know what I mean, but you could have the empathy to say it's not right that they are dealing with it.
Absolutely. Great. Nakia, go ahead.
I mean, a rising tide raises all ships. So to that point, for me, I think purpose, like really understanding your purpose. A lot of times once that ball's gone flat in whatever sport you're associated with, you don't have a sense of purpose because your purpose was to wake up and practice and play games. So just understanding what your purpose is while you're playing so that when you retire, you have something else to hold on to. There's no word for retirement in the Bible, right? So purpose is something that transcends sports, school, whatever it is, you're still living in your purpose regardless of what you actually do physically. So that's important.
Outstanding.
More than playing ball is in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
This weekend there'll be maybe 30 players playing, but thousands around the city. Lawyers,
That's
ad
right.
agencies, marketing, the whole range of the industry.
Right.
That's what excites me about what Anton is doing and Nakia is that beyond the field, beyond the court, there's an industry.
That's right. That's right. Reverend Jackson, as a lot of times people see Reverend Jackson at all-star games and Super Bowls and different things, and they think he's just a big fan, which he is. But really, he spends days in advance of those activities meeting with the teams, meeting with executives, and talking about the business of sports. And I want to just give a mad shout-out to Reverend Jackson for seeing beyond the court. And so by the time a lot of folks see him, out at shoot-around, talking to the players, he's already met with the president of the team, the owners of the teams, and the commissioner and everyone else about opening up jobs, opportunities, because there may only be 15 people on the bench, but there are 300 people running the arena. And so that means that there are more jobs to be had in the business of sports.
You have to watch rules. One rule for if you're in college until recently, if you're number one, you made the jersey famous, you can't sell your own jersey. For example, that's changing now. But partly, if you get a $50 million contract, why can't you invest your money in your team?
That's right.
Well, why are you exempt from spending your money on your sport?
That's right.
That's another hurdle we must cross over.
Jonathan articulated that so well, and I think one of the things that Antonio, I appreciate about you're building generational impact. And so when we talk about what we're kind of wrapping with, but more than that, your daughter is blessed, impacted because of your path, and I think that's part of the responsibility, regardless of your career. So talk a little bit about that, just as a father, as well as an athlete, what it means to set a path for your children to follow and to go forward successfully.
I think the key point there is just having a path. My kids didn't start off playing basketball at all. I don't even know how they ended up playing basketball. We were in Toronto, and all they had was these cold weather sports. So we stayed in the snow. They were snowboarding and doing all this stuff. They played soccer, baseball. I wanted basketball to be the last sport because I didn't want anybody saying I pushed my kids to play basketball. I gave them all kind of balls. In our house, we had everything for them to choose what they wanted to do, and then I just gave them a safe place to make that decision and go forward. I'm very excited that they wanted to play ball because it allowed me to coach them and do some different things. And the one thing I'll always remember, it was so different with my daughter than it was my son. My son, earlier, we butted heads, and then I had to back off and allow him to be from afar. With my daughter, we spent more time talking about different things and doing some other things, and then when it was time, we kind of agreed, Daddy, I don't need you no more. I got it. You go ahead. I love the fact that, for me, it was that bonding experience of being in their lives at such a critical time where they needed some guidance and things of that nature. And I always tell them social media is just so powerful. So make sure that when you type something up, before you hit send, make sure that it represents you and your thoughts. And not just at that moment, because feelings are all over the place. So I felt one thing at this point in time, I might feel something different. So make sure that it represents who and what you are. And lastly, we're not gonna let sports define us. It's just what we did. It's just something that we excelled at and we wanted to do. And like Nakia said, there's a bigger purpose for us. We just have to now take this platform and use it for the ways that's going to inspire and make paths and give people hope. So that's what we're going to be doing.
That's outstanding. Give them a hand of appreciation, everybody. Jonathan, I'm going to let you give us a final word as we wrap up. But you mentioned Kobe Bryant's parents. tomorrow, and this is something a part of Reverend Jackson's vision. Several years ago, we did an event in Silicon Valley with the mothers of the NBA. Tomorrow, the fathers of the NBA are having a gospel lunch, and I want to invite all of you to the HVAC Pub, which is at 3630 North Clark Street here in Chicago, beginning at 1 o'clock with gospel artists and local artist Dietrich Haddon will be the feature performer at the gospel event tomorrow at 1 o'clock with the NBA fathers. And so the fathers of the NBA players are going to be there, and they want to just celebrate this weekend too, but also celebrate the goodness of God in the midst of it all. We can't stop being grateful because they are gifts from God, as you said. But Jonathan, just give us a final word as we wrap this panel and appreciate not only what these folks have shared as athletes and activists, but what your father's vision and what this organization does to impact our world through sports as well.
Well, sports is something that is a common denominator people around the world can recognize and connect with. And we have to continue to level the playing field. Soccer is the most popular sport in the world. Why is it so expensive in the United States? Why are our children being excluded because of cost? I want you to look just beyond the field and beyond the court and look at the parents behind so many of these young men and women. These are high-quality families and parents. We see the outliers, the extreme of those that have made it against the odds, and their stories are absolutely inspiring and riveting. But this is who we are in the main, parents that have done all the right things with their children. And this is why going forward, we have to look at not just on the field, off the field, and up into the suites where these young men and women can use their true talent. Do you notice why they're having so many 3 points being hit in the NBA now? Because they've changed the rules. They're going back to the rules of the 1950s, Isaiah Thomas told me, where you can't hand check anybody. You can't do any contact. Because I know my friend Zeke would have scored a lot more points if you couldn't hold him and grab him. But the rules are changing, and it's very subtle. These young men and women, when they have the owners to get together, they're excluded from those tables. They're excluded from when the rules and decisions are made on sponsorship, on corporate, on how the game can even be more accessible, more fun, more competitive. We want to continue to challenge to open the rules. When the NBA teams were sold and allocated, blacks were not allowed to borrow from banks. What's called redlining was absolutely financial racism. We have to raise our voice and to continue to open the door. And let's always come to the aid of those that make a difference, because there's a fierce wind that you don't see. There are all these people, half of these men and women's size, who are the daughters and the granddaughters that have the purse strings that can tell a Magic Johnson to leave my team, that can tell a star that recruits the Golden State and Anthony Jackson to leave the team, because they have the power. We not only want to play, we want to have the power into the future to set the industry on the right track.
You know, what strikes me also, I talked to a number of sports analysts this weekend, and from 33 to 45, blacks were banned from playing professional football. 12 years. Not commonly known. Blacks who could own teams were put off. People like Kendall Washington, who played football with Jack Robinson, was not recruited, though he was All-American, all of that. Significant 12 years, 100-year celebration with a 12-year gap. But more than that, in 48, the Bears won the championship and lost $18,000 in the championship game. You could buy a franchise for $500,000. The water was low, we couldn't get across. Now, we made the sport this phenomenal global situation. So when, no matter on the field, on the court, there may be 10 black basketball players. Upstairs, there are 32 white owners. That's right. Who call the shots. And the last I would like to make this point is that the reason why they're giving back is so important. A honeybee is said to be brainless. There are no honeybee surgeons. You can't find a honeybee, but there's somebody, what did they say? Honeybee gets nectar from flower. It doesn't just fly away. So it got mine, got yours to get. It drops pollen, where it got nectar. So the flower can keep living. So when honeybee runs out, come back home and get some more. So in some real sense, we must at least have honeybee sense. It's significant to me that in terms of the politics of it, they try to be political. Almost all those owners support Trump. We got tax breaks from Trump. Now, David was a great slingshot as an athlete, but he's not known for being a slingshot slinger. He beat Goliath. He's fighting for the people. It's a public policy struggle. Samson and the Philistines. He's fighting for his people. They weren't just strong. He wasn't just strong in the abstract, flexing his muscles. So David was a political emancipator. And Samson, political emancipator. Athletes were blessed by God have an obligation to lift the people that made them possible. Give these athletes a big hand. What you did? Kathy Towns. I want to dedicate a song to them. Here's a soulful sister. And she know I have a favorite song, but I'm going to make her own choice today. Dedicate to athletes in town this weekend.
Could it all have been so simple then? Yes. Or has time rewritten every line? If we had the chance to do it all again, tell me, would we? Could we? Memories like the corners of my mind, much too painful to remember, of the way we were. Colored pictures of the love we've left behind, smiles we gave to one another, of the way we were. Could it be I've been so simple then? Or has time rewritten every line? And if we had a chance to do it all again, tell me, would we? Could we? Memories have been beautiful and yet much too painful to remember. We simply choose to forget. So it's laughter we will remember. Whenever we remember the way we were, the way we were, the way we were, the way we were.
Much. Thank you all so much. I know we've gone past time. Reverend Jackson insisted that we continue to just let you know that Eton will be signing this book for our students. Our students, each one of you will get a free copy of Eton's book at the table in the back, and the athletes will be taking pictures in Reverend Jackson's hands now. Let's give the panel another hand, everyone.
You know, I want Antonio and the camera. I want a little joy. Y'all give me a minute, please. One of our outstanding athletes from New York who pulls our youth panel together. Jania, she 1,000 points and 1,000 rebounds. We call her 1,000. Give it. I want her to say, she's your little Jesus.
Smile for the picture, and then we'll.
Jesus. Jesus.
Beautiful.
Jesus. There's just something, y'all, about that name. He's my master, Savior, Jesus. He's like the fragrance after the rain. Oh, Jesus. Jesus, oh Jesus, let all heaven and this earth proclaim that kings and kingdoms, they may all pass away, but there's something all about, there is something all about, there is something all about that name. He's Jesus. 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 Oh, there's just something, y'all, about that name. Oh, he's my master, Savior. He's my Jesus. Let all heaven and earth proclaim. Oh, Jesus. Jesus. Wonderful Jesus. Let all heaven and this whole earth, oh yeah, let it proclaim that King
Many of our geniuses, are just a stage away from, say many of our geniuses, just a platform away from greatness. Give Catherine another big hand. Give it. I want to make several observations now, and I need your support on this. First of all, as we transition to our reconstruction project here, we're trying to get those individuals and churches and the like who give at least $1,000 in our building reconstruction plan. Give as you're blessed to give. Maybe your frat, your sorority, your organization. We need your help to keep it. We've been doing this since 1966. For 57 years, been on this front telling the same story. Not long ago, Barack Obama lived 5 houses. He used to come around there every Saturday morning, and many people met him for the first time on our Saturday morning broadcast. Harold Washington spoke here. Mandela spoke here. Said this place has been a blessing to so many. Now, I want to make this appeal to you again, Barbara. Those of you who are in high school, teachers or principals, just as you convene your class for senior prom and all that, register them to vote. I went to high school about not long ago, 750 seniors. Half of them are Latino, fighting for DACA. But they were not registered to vote. No one taught them the power of their vote. I was in jail, Antonio, talking with some young people why they should register and vote. One young man about half, he said, Reverend, what I have to vote about? I said, you can vote on judges. He said, what? You can vote on state's attorney. They didn't realize the power of their vote. So that says power in the vote. More votes, more power. Let's bow our heads in prayer. I want the Kobe Bryant and his daughter and the 7 others on that plane. David Stern, one of the architects of modern basketball. Kobe, one of the builders of modern basketball. In many ways, they've shown us the way, what's possible. They come from the guttermost to the uttermost because they're willing to pay the price. Let's pray. Come on, Phil. Give it up, give it up. It's election time. I want some people who want to volunteer to join the Rainbow Push Coalition. You want to volunteer? You want to volunteer. You want to help us build on what we're doing. Raise your hand. You want to be a volunteer. Some volunteers will be on the telephone just calling people, be the next Samaritans. Some people volunteer to be drivers, some will be mentors. We need volunteers. You want to be a volunteer for Rainbow Push? Raise your hand. Want to be a volunteer?